Hey, what's up? My name is Mo from TurnUpTheComfort.com. People spend thousands, people spend millions of dollars on a home only to realize that there was a different product or a different person that they could have found out to do the work or do the consulting and do the owner's rep part. And after you spend all that money to break open the walls and to go through everything or have to live with a bad system is something that people are usually not happy about. So I run a question and answer. We got plumbing, heating, and cooling questions today. So I picked out a few from each one. Plumbing, what is the best toilet for a heavy person? So there are a bunch of toilets out there. There are wall-hung toilets, floor toilets, skirted toilets. One of the toilets that I found for a heavier person that is both comfortable and strong is the Kohler 3-bolt toilets, the pressure flush. The pressure flush allows it to flush very powerful. It's also self-contained, so you don't need a flushometer or a larger water line. Kind of think about the large public facility toilets where you can just flush one after the next. You can't do that, but it is a power flush toilet. The 3-bolt design, the standard tank only has 2 bolts on it. The power flush design through Kohler has 3 bolts, so if somebody leans back in the toilet, they don't crack the tank off. You can always go with a one-piece toilet. That prevents anybody from peeing in between the tank and the bowl, or less of a structural issue, but you cannot get a power flush in a one-piece that I'm aware of. So that's that. Next one we got is it important to turn off my water main when I go away? You can turn off your water main. Your mileage may vary. If you're going to go away for 3-4 days, you may not turn it off, but if you're going to go away for a week or so, you may decide. Water damage is a pretty big problem in homes, and while most of the time there are no issues, if you don't need any water in your home and it's easy to turn off the water, it's a cheap insurance, especially the more fixtures you have, the more toilets you have, the more washing machines you have, the more water heaters you have, the more chances, the more wheels on the bus you're going to have for having an issue. How hot should my water be? So your water heater by law cannot be set over 120 degrees Fahrenheit for a plumber. We cannot set it. We'll set it to whatever setting we set it to, and when we walk out, or if you deem so, you can turn it up in front of our faces. That doesn't matter to us. But something that you have to know is over 120 degrees, the scold hazard becomes much larger, especially for younger children. The issue becomes under 120 degrees and below, you're ending up with limited capacity out of your water heater. You're also going to have Legionnaire's bacteria growing inside your system. So scalding or Legionnaire's disease, I take neither. So your other option is to keep the hot water tank cranked up at a high temperature that kills any bacteria, and then send the water out to the home with a tempering valve, what's called an ASSE 1017 valve. That is a mixing valve. Basically, what happens is it takes cold water, takes hot water, and it sends out a mixed temperature. You're going to end up with increased capacity, because rather than keeping a full tank at 120 degrees, you now have a tank that's 140, 150 degrees. You actually also prolong the life of that tank because it's kept at a higher temperature. The insides of the tank don't rust as fast. There are also less temperature fluctuations, so there's less expansion and contraction. So optimally, you don't want to have water hotter than 120 degrees. 120 degrees is going to be a lot hotter than you shower. You'll be happy with 115, 116 degree water, and it's especially much safer if you have children or elderly people in the home. Segueing onto the heating stuff, what do I set my thermostat to? So you can set your thermostat pretty much to anything. It's a number game, what you're comfortable in your home. The more infiltration, the more wind or air movement you have in your home, you're going to have to set it to a little higher temperature. If you have a little less air movement, you have a tighter home, you'll do away with a lower temperature. Again, it depends what type of heating system. Do you have a forced air heating system? Do you have a baseboard system? Do you have a radiant system? Different systems react differently. Different people react differently. Larger windows, you'll feel colder if you're sitting near the window. So it's all about the type of system and your personal preference. Why does my baseboard system tick? So this guy actually asked this one this morning to me in person. Your baseboard system ticks as expansion and contraction. There are ways to get around it. There's ways to mitigate it. We've done so successfully using outdoor reset, which gradually increases the water temperature in the baseboard, so you're never shocking your baseboard from 70-degree water all the way up to 140-degree water. You limit that expansion and contraction. Should I go with a high-efficiency boiler? Well, you should really go with the only boiler that's installed correctly, so it doesn't matter if it's high efficient or low efficient. At the end of the day, when you're looking for cost, you don't look at what the cost of the high efficiency boiler is. You look at the difference in cost between a regular efficiency boiler and a high efficiency boiler and see if that middle cost can ever be made up. There are higher running costs of high efficiency boilers. So you got a high efficiency boiler has a higher maintenance cost. You have a shorter lifespan. You have a higher likelihood of having a problem. But it depends what your needs are, depends on your home, depends on everything else. So high efficiency boilers, should you go with them? If you're the type of person that drives old cars and uses flip phones, maybe you should stay with a regular efficiency boiler. If you've got the latest and greatest microwaves and iPhones and cars, you may just want to keep up with technology. There's no reason not to. The adverse effects are not having heat. Get yourself proper provisions, proper backup heat, the same way you would get a spare tire in a car, and you won't be surprised. Segueing to some cooling questions, and these are actually some that are left over from the past summer and some people that have asked them for the future. Should I go with a two-stage cooling or a single-stage cooling? So I always say, this saying is go big or go home. Go simple or go complicated. Don't go in the middle. You're going to go two-stage system. You're not going to have it's not a 50% and 100%. It's usually like an 80% and 100%. And 80% is usually oversized anyway, which means you don't get great dehumidification. So you may as well either go with a simple 13-SAIR system or choose a very high efficiency Carrier Infinity or a Mitsubishi system. Now, depending on where you live in the country, that'll also dictate what you get. Do you live in Vermont, New Hampshire, where it's cooler? Do you live in New York, where you only get 2 to 3, 4 months a year of cooling? Or do you live down in the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, or somewhere else where you can get a lot more cooling? That will depend on kind of like the high efficiency boiler. You don't go ahead and decide that you're going to get a piece of equipment based off of the payoff just because it says. It depends where you use it, how you use it, and all those other details. But definitely either go basic or go all the way. Don't go in that halfway in between and then be shocked and be surprised that you didn't get either your efficiency or your simplicity and reliability. So is geothermal worth it? So geothermal is definitely worth it if you got the right tax credits. It goes back to high efficiency boilers, it goes back to complicated systems. If you're going to go ahead and you're going to have a geothermal system, what is the life cycle expectancy? What is the cost of ownership? And what is the replacement cost? All that stuff play a major role in it. One of the real benefits where geothermal pays back is rather than dissipating its temperature to a hot day in the summertime, your outdoor unit, it always has a nice cool ground to dissipate its temperature to. So what ends up happening is if you just put a little bit of thought into it and you go put your outdoor central air units on the north side of your home, you're going to end up with a central air unit that's outside your home but is never sitting in direct sunlight. If you're never in direct sunlight and it's on the coolest side of the house, your central air will have the easiest time dissipating its hot air back to the kind of hot but cooler than the machine outdoors. So if you just put proper thought process into any unit, into any type of installation, you're going to be happy and you can get the best benefits. You'll reap the best benefits out of it. So is Geo worth it? Geo's worth it if you can make it like the high efficiency boiler or like the 2-stage, 3-stage, 4-stage, whatever type of variable speed or simple system in air conditioning. If you can make heads and tails out of it, it's definitely worth it for you. Setback on thermostats. And now this is probably a heating and a cooling question, not just in the cooling mode, but the question is, do I set back my thermostat or not? If you set it back and you only set it back for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, it's probably a waste, because the way an air conditioner works is every minute that air conditioner is trying to achieve that next temperature, it is constantly working and working and working. Now if it's a variable speed unit, it's maybe working at partial capacity, but it's working. The way a heating system works is it'll get up to that temperature, and this goes for furnace, this goes for boilers, there's fire style appliances, where once the appliance, the boiler, the furnace reaches that specific temperature, the fire turns off, and either the pump or the furnace fan, whatever it is, keeps dissipating the heat to the home. When the appliance loses enough temperature, the appliance refires itself. An air conditioner, if it's trying to make that 1 degree, it's trying to go from 70 to 69 or 73 down to 70, every minute that it's doing that, it's running. So you may just decide to just run your system throughout the day, and instead of it running for a chunk time of 2 to 3 hours when you return home or right before you return home, it'll run for 10 to 20 minutes every hour. It'll keep your house fresh because you'll have constant circulation. It will also end up with dehumidifying throughout the day rather than lump sum dehumidifying and trying to cool your home. Future questions that we got. We already got this one actually. Why does my heating system tick? How often should I change the filter in my furnace or air conditioner? Do I really need to service my heating system? What is your take on water softeners? My sewer has roots. Local guy wants to rip out my lawn. Is that my only option? I bought a Mitsubishi unit and they said it would dehumidify and the house is still humid. What are my options? So we are a full service mechanical and consulting company. We are located up in the Northeast in New York. We service anybody in the Northeast as far as mechanical services. Consulting, if a plane, a car, a boat, or a camel gets there, we can take care of it. So my name is Mo from turnupthecomfort.com. Reach out to us there at turnupthecomfort.com. We've got shows every week coming out to you guys. We've got blogs coming out every week. We've got a training section of the website that is for you guys. Or you can just reach out to the company office at 347-460-HEAT. That's 347-460-HEAT. Looking forward to seeing you on the next show. Thank you so much, and please submit your questions. Enjoy your day.